and had for 2 years while I was gone to service. Yeah.
You knew this was going to happen when I walked in, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I knew.
Open that up for me, please. Young man, be careful with these pages. They're 63 years old.
I know.
Look at this. And you got a B plus for this, Jim?
Yeah.
That teacher was tough, man. Like, you know, looks like an A for me, and I haven't even really read through it much. Gosh, man.
Anyway, a good friend of my dad and his partner
Yep.
was a guy by the name of Jim Cadwell.
Yep.
And Jake Hughes was a mechanic we had forever. And they, in 1959, built this super modified.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? Look at it.
Packard powered.
Packard.
Packard.
There's a lot of white in there, Jim, isn't there? There's a whole lot of white in that car.
Say what now?
A lot of white. If you look at that picture, white interior,
Oh.
like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So you would a lot of dirt racing initially.
Oh, yeah.
For somebody who ended up going in straight lines for a lot of years.
It's when the performance cars came about, mainly, you know.
So obviously there's a lot of Mopar in here. Dodge and Mopar stuff has been your passion.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
Dealership. Yeah.
So your family owned a Dodge dealership?
In 1963, they took on Dodge. They had Nash and Packard until Packard went out of business. In fact, believe this, Packard goes out of business, so they've got these brand spanking new engines in crates. They're like a 374, 376 V8, complete engines for $100 a piece.
Oh, $100.
And the dealership bought 10 of them. And that's why that Packard was in that thing there. So
I can't help but just see what's through that door. We're going to talk about it later, but just that little... Boy, you've got some stuff in here, Jim. My goodness me.
seems like it.
Seems like it. Yep. Oh, that's so good. Established 1965.
Yeah, my daughter just made that up for me this summer here.
So the wagon obviously would have turned a few heads back in the day.
That was a killer car built.
Was it?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. Set 5 national records with it.
You knew all along this was going to happen when I walked in that you was going to blow my mind, didn't
It's
you?
going to be a good time.
You could call it that. Hope you don't mind me putting a Chevrolet hat in the middle of this ad real quick, this chat here, but Craig Ford is very, very, very good to me.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Whew. How young are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
78.
So you started racing when you were 13, if that's the way that I would read that then.
14 go-karts, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Go-karts, yeah.
He's in good nick for 78.
Still going.
Oh, you look like and you're still racing, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you
still
bet.
racing.
55 years, I can't hardly quit now, can I?
Well, I mean, you got to find out if you like it or not.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you walked away now, you might never realize if you like it or not.
Right, exactly.
He's got a Wally over here in the case.
Oh, you serious?
I was just showing Johnny how I got that.
Yeah, he's got a whole book on how he got that thing.
Well, it kind of deserves it, doesn't it?
That's
That for best engineered car.
Oh, wow.
Brainerd North Star Nationals, about probably 350, 400 cars in there, I suppose. It's a home built car.
Yep.
Being at a dealership and being drag racing, I wrote to Chrysler and asked them what it would cost for a brand new body, just a shell. They call it a body in white.
Yep.
And in February of '82, me and my cousin in an open trailer went to Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and got a brand new body right off the assembly line. And here's a picture of it. No glass, no interior, no running gear, no nothing. I mean, just an absolute shell. But it was bare metal is what it was. And we got primer on it there and stuff, but
Looked like a nice day that day. Snow all over the ground and...
yeah.
So you've kept all these pictures?
Yeah.
That's so good. I'm glad you've done that.
Oh, I got so many pictures you wouldn't even believe it. I honestly, God, I do.
Well, that's good that you still got that stuff, because Nowadays, it's all on people's phones.
Yeah. But anyway, I bought a chassis from a guy in southern Iowa, mounted that body, narrowed our own Dana rear end, built our own ladder bars, shortened Plymouth Arrow front struts for it, and fiberglass I got from Rockford, Illinois, doors, fenders, hood, deck lid, all that. You know.
Yep.
I built that in 83, 84, and that's when I got the best award, best engineer award at North Star Nationals at Brainerd there. So
That's a big kudos to you, because that's an award that shows attention to detail and, you know, the finer things, preparation, and that's the kind of stuff you would like to win, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, there's probably guys race for 50 years that don't have an Oscar, you know. So.
What kind of times are you running now at Eddyville? What ETs are you running?
Oh, about 6:20s in the 8th, yeah.
Okay, and what kind of mile per hour is that?
About 108 or 9. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At what is your age again?
78.
Oh, everybody at 78 does, you know.
Pretty much. Everyone should.
Well,
Hopefully.
not everybody should. Wow. Why do you still do it?
Just a rush, you know. It's just fun.
Do you still get that same rush when you leave the line?
Oh, yeah. It's a rush.
You would know immediately if it's going to be a good one or not when you leave the line,
Pretty
wouldn't
well.
you?
Pretty well, yeah, you would, yeah.
So have you seen our gold medal winning friend who drives with no arms?
You bet. Ain't he something?
Ain't he something, John?
He's something, that's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's, anyway. What is the coolest thing? If there was one thing, if suddenly there was God forbid, a fire and you had to get out, what would you grab in here? If you only could take one thing, would it be the Wally?
Right, my NHRA Wally.
Are we allowed to get it out? Yeah. Are you allowed to touch it? I'm putting it on you. Are you getting it? Can he get it out? Do you mind if we touch it?
Yeah.
Get it out. I've never actually seen one before. I know that Tony Bockhoven will lose his mind.
That guy on that magazine? Ever met that guy?
Oh, yeah. He's pretty trick, that guy, right? Pella. Rich Knoxville.
You ain't going to show that video to anybody, are you?
What's that?
You ain't going to show that video to anybody.
No, definitely not. Oh. Would you look at that?
Coming today?
Yeah. And she told me Wade was going to be taking a lot of pictures.
Did she?
Oh, good. And
So you were forewarned. You knew what was coming.
why is a Wally so important? Why does it mean so much to so many people, Jim? Why?
Just the fact that some people race for 50 years and never ever get one, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of just good memories, you know, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So obviously, Jim, your loyalty to Chrysler, Dodge, Mopar, all that sort of stuff goes way back to the 60s when your family had the dealership.
63, took on Dodge.
What was the coolest car your family ever had on the showroom floor? Do you ever remember seeing one and going, oh, wow, we got one of
If
those?
there was one you wish you had.
Yeah.
Well, I had, believe it or not, a car identical to this.
Did you?
Identical. Brand new 1970. Plum crazy.
Oh.
70 Challenger RT. 446 pack. 4-speed. 410 Dana. Had 9-inch slicks on it. And it was one street racing son of a gun. I mean to tell you, I could race anybody on the street, hit second gear, and one car length. I mean, just wham, just like that.
That's back in the day when people might have street raced a little bit, right?
Quite a little bit.
Every now and again. Just,
Allegedly.
yeah. You know, there's no proof of that because there's no social media anymore. But where'd the idea for the color come from? Like, why this color?
This Bill Bagshaw from California.
Okay.
He had a car called the Red Light Bandit.
Yep.
And that's what all his cars were like this.
Yep.
Red and yellow.
So that kind of tickled your fancy a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Have this been a color scheme you've kept for most of your racing life?
Yeah. Last 38 years, anyway.
So
Again.
where did you get this car?
Yeah.
Who did you buy this car from?
The guy from town got it. I'd found it for him over in Dixon, Illinois. I'd been racing over at Byron, Illinois, and I heard about this car in Dixon. And I'd seen it over at Byron, Illinois forever. Seen it over there. It always had Hemi in it over there back then. And when I got it, it was blue and yellow. It had great big letters down the side, "Challenge Me," it said.
Yeah, they were.
Were you just talking about Van Halen?
Pardon me?
I just drove in on Hair Nation, because that's my station, and they were cranking Van Halen. Now, I want to ask you an important question. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, or does it not matter to you?
I don't really know.
There's Van Hagar and there's Van Roth, you know, but it was always Eddie on the guitar, and that's all that mattered.
I thought David Lee Roth was great in the day, but then it seemed like he got a little weird after.
Yes! He still is weird. Yep.
He really got weird.
All that lounge singing and stuff, all that strange stuff.
How many concerts have you been to?
Yeah.
Isn't it like
Over 100.
Have you?
Over 100.
What's your best concert?
I thought it was the Rolling Stones until I saw Bob Seger about 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and he was still fantastic.
Bob Seger, yeah. What's that?
Way up, firm and high.
But I've seen AC/DC, I've seen the Rolling Stones, I've seen Creedence Clearwater Revival, just on and on and on.
You haven't mentioned the big one yet.
Aerosmith, AC/DC, you know, Elton John, you name it.
The big one. Come to my shoulder here with my sleeve here. Do something weird here. See my sleeve just there? Just pull that up on the front there.
Oh, okay, Kiss. Saw Kiss twice. Yeah. 86 and 87.
Wow.
Yeah, 86 and 87.
There was no makeup back then.
Oh, I've got a regular booklet that I wrote down all these concerts.
Have you?
Oh, yeah. Well, tell me when you want to get started on the drag racing part.
Oh, sure, let's do it.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to do this.
So, John, why is this man so important in your life and your dad's and Tony Bockhoven and?
Well, so this award over here is kind of what got me started on this whole deal. I
Yep.
was talking to a friend of mine about trying to do an award for the Eddyville banquet.
Yep.
And it's just, you know, these guys have such cool stories that
Yeah,
not
they
many
do.
people know about that are my age.
Yep.
And so this was the first one, and with Jim racing as long as he has, it's just made sense that he got the first one. So you start to do a little digging and find out some of the stuff they've done, and like to have a shop like this full of all this history
Yeah.
is so right up my alley that it's just super cool. So
And you would never know. Like a lot of really cool. There's no bling out the front. It's just
Right.
like.
So hopefully this award is kind of like a continued thing I can do to give one out every year to someone who's been around the block at Eddyville and has got a super cool story and history and everything else. So
Now, I'm a Ford guy, but don't throw me out just yet. But I got to tell you, this is what always floats my boat. The Superbirds.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I don't imagine many people drag raced them back in the day, but they were pretty good on the ovals.
Yeah.
Was it always drag racing for you? Once you stopped the dirt stuff, was it always drag racing that was your thing?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, just something I love, you know, you can do yourself and that and all that stuff like that.
I
You
do
gotta
love
tell
it.
them the Perdome story.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this either.
Holy cow. So you raced against the snake? Yeah. When was that?
1981.
Do you have a picture of that? Were you side by side? Can we see that, please, as you tell me that story?
I got a whole history book here to go over for the drag racing part.
Yeah, for sure.
I got something to show you up here, too. It'll just kind of blow your mind.
I'm sure of it.
Look at that picture in the very top right there. The Challenger. The race
Yep.
ball.
Yep.
Now, what do you make of that?
The Bill Bagshaw one. Come on, John. What are you making of it?
I don't know. It looks just like yours without the letters.
Yep. Now come over here.
It's a toy. It's a picture of a toy car.
Oh, no way.
I'll tell you what. People look at that, and it looks like it's parked right in front of my shop, you know. But it isn't, so...
Oh, it's on the hood of something. Is it on the hood of someone's car or something? Or a table or something? Wow, it's just beautifully taken. Wow. Looks like it launches pretty good, mate.
Oh yeah.
That seems to be his thing, John. Yeah, like.
Apparently. What's been your favorite car?
My 65 Dodge. The 65 factory.
Which is this one?
Should have never ever sold that. Worst mistake ever made.
Really?
Yep. But the deal was super gas. They wanted to get super gas going and all this, and that was going to be the new thing and all that.
How long did you race the wagon for?
6 years.
And why a wagon?
It was all class cars back then. It was all class.
Yep.
And tell you the truth, if we started at the beginning of this, it'd be a whole lot better.
Okay.
But
Start from the beginning. Go ahead.
well, I meant drag racing. Period.
Yep.
Sure.
What was your first car?
40 Ford pickup. Three Mopar and 4-speed.
Yep. Yep.
And I raced in the junior street class at Eddyville. It was just a streeter.
Yep.
And had to qualify the top 16 cars. And then the cars that didn't qualify ran in a bracket themselves. And I ran that for the whole half a year, the last half a year of 68 from that season, that last half of the season. And that really got me hooked that I wanted to do this, on a weekly basis. So that fall 68, Des Moines Register on Sunday had an ad in there for a 64 Dodge, two-door sedan, the 426 Max Wedge. That's a big port, big valve heads with the cross ram intake with the AFB carburetors, the big swoopy exhaust manifolds and everything. I buy this car up there, had a 4-speed in it, which that's the only way I'd have done back then. I wouldn't go put no automatic in that.
Right on.
Anyway, I buy this car, and it was what it said it was, Drive it home, but it had a knock in it. A wrist pin had come loose and gouged the cylinder wall, but I was going to rebuild the engine anyway. But the blind blower of this was, it had a spotlight on the door. And I thought, what the heck is the spotlight doing on here? Believe it or not, police pursuit.
Really?
As you do.
64 Dodge, two-door sedan, police pursuit.
So you're saying you street raced a cop car?
Pardon me?
You street raced a cop car?
No, I was drag racing. Well,
It's a beautiful irony, though.
I drag raced a street car. So anyway, we were NHRA back then, 7-inch tires. And I was strictly a 4-speed man, I wouldn't even think about an automatic. And I could not get it to quit spinning the tires, spin the tires. Finally borrowed a torque flat from a guy, and I got runner-up first night out. Okay, 1970, they go to AHRA, 10.5-inch tire. Okay, now we're really looking at something, So, I got to looking in the classification guide, and if I put aluminum front end on that car, it had fenders and hood and all that, I could go up a class and run a softer index because they went off of whatever the quarter-mile record was at 2/3. So in other words, if it was 12 flat, it was 8 flat at Eddyville. So anyway, a guy in California had both fenders, the hood and the scoop, aluminum for a 64 Dodge, $150.
Wow.
$150.
Come find that now on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. The last time I saw anything for sale in aluminum for a 64 Dodge, one fender, $4,000.
Holy
Yep.
cow.
I mean, this wasn't many of them made, I think there was only 50 of them made.
Yep.
So that was the deal. But freight was sky high, 375. Freight, of course, you had to build a big old crate to bolt it all, put it all in.
There's no Amazon back then.
So anyway, I raced that car for 3 years. I put a torque light in it after the first year there. And Waterloo had all these station wagons coming down here.
Yep.
And really performing well. I mean, really competitive.
Yep.
And the whole deal was they didn't prep the tracks back then or nothing.
Yeah.
The extra weight was really good for the traction. And they fit a lower class, of course. So I looked in the classification guide and I saw where you could legally run a 426 Hemi and a 69 Dodge Coronet station wagon. So I went to the auction in Mount Vernon that winter and bought a Coronet station wagon. And kind of a funny story to tell you about that too. Just had a 318 in it, And we took it to a guy at the other end of town here that had a steam cleaner. We thought we'd steam clean that engine and get under the hood good and clean too, you know. And here it is, a station wagon, you know. And he asked me what it was going to do with it. I said, well, it's going to be a race car, you know. He says, well, by golly, I think you got a pretty good idea there. That extra weight's going to really hold good in the turns, he says.
That's not what you were thinking.
Yeah. So anyway, I built this 426 Hemi station wagon. And I never built a Hemi before, so I didn't have real good compression in it. Didn't have a converter in it. Back then, Cedar Falls quarter-mile track started before Eddyville did.
Yeah.
1 week. National record was a 1280, and the very first run down the track was a 1250. I mean, just killer combination, you know. And had that car for 3 years, candy red with Led Zeppelin on it. And then John Fox painted it blue and put our dealership name on it. And when I built that car, it was 72, paid 100 to win. And at the end of 77, it paid 250 to win.
Oh, big money.
And I'd won a good one up in Cedar Falls for 600, one down at Keokuk for 500. But in 6 years, I won over $10,000 with that car.
Holy cow. In what years?
In 6 years.
Yeah, so from what,
72 to 77.
That's pretty good money back then
yeah,
for...
it was, yeah.
You know, this wasn't pro.
John Fox painted that thing blue, won the first 3 weeks I rode Eddyville.
Really?
Just bang, bang, bang. You know. Killer combination. But,
Pretty good for turning corners, apparently.
but the deal was back then, Eddyville closed Labor Day. That was it. Done for the year. And you got great weather to race, you know. Well, that was an AHRA car. I needed an NHRA car that run both, you know. AHRA and NHRA both. So by luck, a guy in Anton, Iowa, had one of these 65 Dodge factory Superstock Hemi cars, less engine and trans. These cars, I don't know if you know that much about them, but they come from the factory. The doors, the fenders, the hood, and the front bumper are all stamped out of lightweight steel. Lightweight.
That's a shame.
You could take the wheel well, the front wheel well, grab that wheel well, and walk it back and forth 4 inches like that.
Wow.
The middle of the door, you could take your fist like that, just pop it like a tin sign, just pop, pop. It was just that lightweight, you know.
Made to race.
Yeah. And had no back seat, had Dodge van bucket seats mounted on aluminum brackets, had aluminum door hinges, 426 Hemi, aluminum heads, magnesium cross ram, 2 780 Hollies, tubular headers, stall converter, 456 Pawsey. You bolted slicks on that car and went to track. I mean, it was a complete, absolute race car is what it was. Just, you know, that was all my favorite car. I always loved that.
And that's the silver one?
Yeah, silver car. Yeah.
This is the 60. This is the 65 here that you were talking about.
Yeah, 65. Yeah.
Oh.
So do you know where that car is now, or it's long gone?
Not for sure.
Well, this is what videos like this do.
Yeah, right.
So if anybody knows where that car is, we'd like to know, right?
I sold it to a chiropractor in Wisconsin.
He would have been getting adjustments leaving the line in that thing.
And he sold 5 Hemi cars to Boyd Coddington, the big street rod guy in California, and another guy. And then it went to a guy in California who had a mattress company.
Oh.
In fact, that's what this guy here, this article on that, the Mattress Man's Hemi. See?
Oh, yeah.
And he had that stripped completely, took to a body shop, and they couldn't believe how much weight I took out of that car, you know, and stuff. Anyway, he sends me a picture of it. They had stripped it completely, leaf springs out and everything, and it was tilting to the right like crazy, you know. And I says, well, they put the leaf springs in backwards. There's one extra leaf on the right-hand side, you know, from the factory. And sure enough, that's what it was. But he had Dick Landy build him an engine for it, and he set a record in the Heritage Series and nostalgia stuff. A modified production or something. I think Landy had ported heads and stuff like that for it and everything. But
I'm not sure if this is going to work out. He doesn't have any good stories.
I know.
I mean, you told me he was going to talk, you know, he would talk and stuff. And this is amazing. I'm so glad you've documented all this stuff, you know, because a lot of people, like Doug Wolfgang in Sprint Cars, who's the Mount Rushmore, doesn't have one thing.
Really?
Nope.
Gee.
Not even one thing. And you have a whole wall of fame here, and boy, that thing leaves the line, doesn't it? Jeez. Have you done predominantly 1/8 mile stuff, or was there a bit of quarter mile too?
Back when I was class racing with that 65, I went all over.
Yep.
Brainerd, Minnesota, Marion, South Dakota, St. Louis, Kansas City, Scribner, Nebraska. You know, just towed all over. Byron, Illinois, law and stuff. And that, so.
When you look at these pictures, Johnny, what's the shot that really sets you on fire that you think, yeah?
I keep looking for the Don Perdome match race picture, but I don't see it anywhere.
Oh, it's in that book.
Can we see that, please? We definitely want to see that.
We got to hear that story while we're talking about that car.
Yeah. See, there's my best engineering from Scribner.
Oh yeah.
That was the same year I got the best engineer at
This shop is almost a museum, you know. You could almost do shop tours, right?
John Collins said that.
Really?
John Collins and his buddy was up here one time. It's kind of like a museum.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is.
So there's the old dealership.
I was going to say, is that up there?
That's a whole bunch of 68 Hemi Cudas and Darts.
Oh. So where you saying the dealership was that you're just pointing out?
This one. So this was the old cop car?
64 Dodge, yeah.
I don't imagine you outrun the cops very much in that thing.
That's wild. So you were telling me once too, how many Hemi blocks and stuff did you have at one time? Didn't you just have a whole pile of Hemi parts?
You bought us a cheap back then.
So how much would a Hemi block cost back then?
Complete engine, 3,400.
Really?
3,400. Classmate I went to school had a 68 Hemi Roadrunner, and he was getting married and stuff and wanted to get something with better mileage. I traded him a 383 and $150 for that engine. And he did all the work.
Hey man, can you build me a race motor for $500,
Yeah,
please?
right.
I want all the fruit. I'll give you an extra. I'll give you an extra 50. Make it 550, right? Make that thing run, okay?
But it's got to be a Hemi.
Yeah.
Another guy in town had a plum crazy 70 Challenger RT, black vinyl top, 426 Hemi, 4-speed, shaker hood, the whole smear. And he was getting divorced, and I traded him a 383 even over for that complete Hemi engine. And he worked next door to a trailer hitch place in the other end of town, and he had every throttle spring, throttle bracket, gas line, everything completely chrome plated.
Wow.
Under the hood of that car. I mean,
So where'd all your Hemis go now?
Yeah.
You still got them all?
no, just slowly but surely, you know, sold and stuff over the years.
He's killing us with the Perdome story, you know.
I know. He's keeping us on
I know.
the edge.
I gotta show you my.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I gotta show you my magazine collection here.
Oh wow! So they're all in the boxes.
In the old trophy.
That's pretty well your Playboy collection.
Yeah.
Right there, right? Effectively, the equivalent too, right? Yep. Oh my goodness me.
Carpet thing back there.
Yeah.
Mike Wymore's first wife gave that to me for Christmas one year.
Really?
I love that you're so organized with this stuff, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous CDs, early rock and roll.
Yeah, I try to be.
Well, music went with this period,
It did.
didn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
Pardon me?
music went with this period.
absolutely.
You know, like it was part of the.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mini skirts, fast cars, and great music. God bless America. Right?
A great Hemi 64 Dodge was called the Iron Butterfly years ago. You know, so.
There's no stories in here, man.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Look at the old stereo up here. Is that? That's the old.
Oh, 8-track, yeah.
Yeah, an 8-track.
I thought he was looking at that sign there.
Oh, there's so much to look at. This is just.
That's a Centerville car club that put several guys on that years ago. So.
Goodness me.
Yeah, this is all.
It just keeps going.
It does.
Look at all those magazines. Wow.
The little fans he's got here everywhere for the office. Boy, you would have sat here a few hours in your life at this The old chair is still like factory standard.
Well, from the clear back in the 40s and 50s, it's this right here. This cabinet.
Oh wow.
That would usually go on the front side
That is sweet.
of the grease rack. That's what that would be.
Boy, that'd look good in your shop, Johnny.
That would look good in my shop.
See, we walk past all these
got
things
dibs.
without even.
Dibs on that one.
Even the stains are worth something in here, you know. I love even the old lights. Like look at the old Vice and the old
Yeah. Look
You
at
know-
the lift. Did you see
the hoist. No, I didn't. Fully concealed.
Well, you realize that bench grinders on the Ford housing, that's one half of it.
There we
One
go.
ton Ford housing.
We had to find something in here.
something Ford parts?
Look at these old lights, like even you know, like
What are all these for? What are all your levers for?
Hoist.
oh, that operates the hoist.
Hydraulic hoist.
I haven't even been to your shop, but it can't be as cool as this.
It's not anywhere as this.
Where are you located anyway? I'm gonna have to stop in there sometime.
I'm in the old Yamaha shop.
The old Yamaha shop. 71.
Yeah.
See, that's a 71 Charger sitting on the showroom floor there.
Yep. Oh, look at him.
First car hauler I had, 48 Dodge.
Oh, are you serious?
Sweet.
48 Dodge, stretched the wheelbase 1 ton. Or excuse me, 1 ton 48 Dodge. Stretched the wheelbase 40 inches, put a 383 4-barrel and a torque flight in it, and kept the 2-speed axle.
Wow.
And it's painted Hams blue, and the white and red stripes on the top to match the 64 Dodge there. So.
Jim, you know that your brain is wired up a little different to most folk, right?
I don't remember stuff from last week.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that.
I'm so glad that you've got this stuff documented and beautifully done too. Like not just an old photo album. This has been made into a, beautiful book.
This is my 64 Dodge. I'd sold that to the postmaster in Anton, Iowa, right south of Sioux City.
Boy, I bet the mail got delivered quick.
Yeah.
And Wedge beats Hemi. 5 years later, I was buying that 65 Dodge that he was beating in the
Really?
final area. They was trying to get super gas going. So they had, in 1981, they had 8 cars from Scribner, Nebraska come over here and race our 8 cars. Well, I won that with my 65 Dodge. And then in August, 8 cars from here went over there to Scribner. And my car was a little bit too fast for the index over there. So I took Fast Eddie's car, and I'll be damned if I didn't win it over there. And it's fine print what it says. It says, the boys from Scribner wandered in their way to even up their side of the tally sheet after taking a rather sound thrashing at the boys of the Eddyville bunch.
Got it memorized. A sound thrashing.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that shot.
Whoops.
Don't you drop that book, whatever you do. Oh.
That's sweet. See, look at that. That's right outside.
Yeah, it's right across there.
Background.
So literally through that window
Yeah.
is where the shop used to be. Goodness me.
Well, here's a mind blower here. How did that Pentastar get in that picture? There's
Oh,
Pentastar.
jeez.
Oh,
Here we
jeez.
go.
There's no Pentastar on the car. So where did that come from?
It's the Mopar God, mate. We know where you're going with that.
That's up at Cedar Falls there. That's kind of interesting. Led Zeppelin running lead sled. That was a
Nice.
427 Chevy wagon I got from Hudson, Iowa, just south of Cedar Falls.
This wagon, not a family car.
Yeah. First big win, 1973. 64 car field, all class cars, all pounds per inch. And
God, look at that mustache.
Sweet.
And what was weird was I put these Florida aluminum wheels on backwards for tire clearance, And I just built aluminum plate to go over the 5 studs, so it didn't look funky, And a couple guys came up and they said that was the best looking wheels they've seen on the whole property.
So that's when
I like
John
the
Fox
blue.
Painted it.
John Fox, yeah. Painted it, lettered it too, did all that. Me and this Jerry Staley, this guy from Cedar Falls, Pontiac wagon, 455, killer car. Me and him would be number 1 or 2 qualifiers almost every week at Eddyville, and normally beat in the final. Pretty
Wow.
good, yeah. After I sold it, this kid I sold it to put Led Zeppelin back on it, which is kind of neat too. Yeah. There's the car right there. I should have never ever sold that thing.
I think it's sweet.
John Fox painted it too, and lettered and laid out all the graphics and stuff.
Oh, look at it leaving the line.
This guy here is Doug Marion. He was from Fairfield, and he had 419s back in the day. Well, he was the editor of Popular Hot Rodding magazine. And back in the day, they had a Popular Hot Rodding magazine, pretty well a national event at Martin, Michigan every year. Well, Jock Nicholson took over the track in 1980, and he had him come down here and make kind of a little cover of the mini Popular Hot King back then. I mean, he just
Kind of still the king these days to a lot of people.
ruled funny car, you know.
Yep.
And he charged so much to match race, he couldn't afford 2 cars. Well, the Pepsi plant in town here, he got them to come up with some sponsor money, and he raced the 3 guys leading the points of the 3 classes. The little black Fairlane, you know, that runs so hard.
Yep.
He was running the 2nd class back then, and he raced him, and I raced him, and then there was a 340 Duster out of Grinnell that those 3 cars raced him.
So did you win?
The joke of it was
And
heads up. And I couldn't even hear my engine running, of course. No, couldn't even hear it run. And it was a dial-in deal, and I think if I remember right, he dialed a 420 and broke out with a 417 or something like that.
So you did win.
Yeah.
he took a while to tell you that.
You did.
That would have been the first thing. That time I beat Don Prodome is the way I would have started with that.
No kidding.
Did you ever hear what kind of money that he was charging to do that sort of stuff?
No, I didn't.
Would you have guessed, like ballpark, what it might have been?
I've got the contracts laying in there for Eddyville Dragway for funny cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, that would have been a big deal for a kid from Oski to race against the Snake.
Yeah, I guess.
You guess.
I guess.
Well,
We saw it.
it was just such, such a strange deal to run heads up, I guess.
What was he like? Did you get to deal with him personally at all?
Oh, just shook his hand up on the starting line there was all. Yeah.
Okay.
That's advertisement for it.
Oh, there it is. They must have had a big crowd.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did.
We'll match race with the local point leaders. Who will win? No one knows. Oh, Jimmy Z might have handed him his A55 that day. I'm so glad you've kept this in such beautiful condition.
This article says it might have super stock lettering on the car, but it was running super gas times. Says something like that on there.
Something like that. Says exactly what it says.
Super gas, it wasn't that trash. I had a guy, National Hemi Owners was an association that had a newsletter and stuff and all that. And that was their insignia, and I had a kid from town here paint that on there. Brought it there.
Oh.
Car show in Des Moines. Car shows were really a big deal back then. I think it was Ray Farner, car shows at Betts, and I won everything there was to win up there. $100 for best competition car and best engineered, best award, and everything. Here's when I got the Wally up
Oh yeah.
Brainerd for the Wally for the best engineered car. That's the guy from Nashville Dragster, them 2 guys with him.
It's so cool that they have a Wally for something like that. That it's not all just about the performance.
Yeah,
it's about
right.
the preparation and the... Oh.
Fast Eddie used to keep his car right here. There's an overhead door right here. And he used to keep it here. And first week out, he blows the engine in it. Well, I had 2 engines back then. I had one that was all built super stock, full race. Then I had kind of a mild, just a bracket motor, So he didn't know what he was going to do, and I said, well, I got an idea. Why don't we put my bracket motor in your car, and we'll just switch back forth. You drive 1 week, I'll drive the next. Well, I jumped in the very first night, and I got runner-up, 800 to win 450 race. And we did it the next year, too, and I won 3,000 to win races.
Holy cow.
Took in like 4,400 that day. I mean, that year. And pretty good, but just something about that car was just real comfortable for me and that and stuff. So.
Apparently.
That's the Wally there and stuff. So.
That must have been a great thrill to get that.
Kind of was, yeah.
Kind of was.
So what's this one?
I got this in trade on the Murata. A guy over in LaSalle, Illinois. It's an old Pro Stock Duster. A gal by the name of Shay Nichols out of Texas had that brand new. And then it got shuffled around and full race Pro Stock. I mean, all, tube chassis and coilover shocks all the way.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours in the bathroom,
I
big
know.
old trash barrel spitting up. little pieces would come out, but
Yeah.
end up going to Pella Regional and
That was a bad deal.
staying overnight, and they did an endoscopy and found a tight spot,
Mm-hmm.
Opened that up, been great ever since. So. Go with me all the time to the races and all that and stuff. That's Fast Eddy there in the red. Kept thinking it was going to go down, but never ever did. Ran really good. A guy named Bill Hudson drove it. But I was going in the...
So let's just talk about that for a second. Back in the day, in the 60s and in the 70s,
Yeah.
people would call you out.
And I never ever asked anybody to race. They always asked me.
And this was street racing.
Yeah.
Or it really wasn't on the street, it was on the road, right? Out in the country roads
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah. But anyway, this 69 Dart, 344 speed, 391 gears, and little 7-inch slicks, bone stock, was a street racing son of a gun. Them things were rated at 275 horsepower, but in the hot rod magazines later said they were way closer to 350 horsepower. I had 40 races and lost once. And you will be proud of what I lost to, though.
A Ford.
429 Torino.
Yes, I can live with that. So you went to Vietnam in 66.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. What did you do in Vietnam? What was your role?
I was trained as a combat engineer,
Okay, that makes sense.
but I got out to Fort Lewis, Washington, and we built floating bridges.
Okay.
Big old floating bridge with big aluminum bulk on them and stuff like that, And so we go to Vietnam, and we don't build any floating bridges. They use our 5-ton trucks for transportation, for hauling lumber and cement and sand and whatever they needed, and stuff. And all like that. Got a story to tell you about that, too. Got a place called Bong Son, kind of a wild place, a lot of VC there. I'm going down the road. This is the old International trucks, big old 5-ton with canvas top.
Mm-hmm.
50 caliber mounted above, guy riding with me. I'm going down the road. I'm running 35 mile an hour, probably, maybe not even that. All of a sudden, wham, big explosion. Dirt flying everywhere. So I figured it was a mortar round coming in, So I jump on the loud pedal, and all of a sudden it's bam, bam, bam. I hit a landmine in the road.
Oh.
Blew the rear duals off the truck. Big old school bus sized tires, 10020s, that 20-inch steel ring. Kid behind me cleared of palm trees. Now laid that rim right over the lugs, right over the studs. We had to go in town and get a torch and cut that rim off just to get the tire back on there to go down the road and stuff, So,
Wow.
He just goes, ha.
Yeah. No big deal.
If you worked on the helicopters, I would imagine they were extremely well engineered in Vietnam.
Right.
talking about helicopters, they was all over the place, and I never ever did get to ride one.
Really?
That really disappointed
Were they
me.
Iroquois? Were they Iroquois back then? Like, what was the helicopter that they flew back then? I think they were Iroquois.
I don't know. What they were.
Anyway.
But I got a picture here. I mean, I'm about 10 feet from one, so.
And every year after that, when you came back to Eddyville, you've raced every season.
Yeah. Yep. 55 years worth. Here's my 40 Ford pickup when I was putting the 83 4 barrel in it. So it was a fun street racer too.
You can't do that stuff anymore. That's an era that is gone, isn't it? Like you can't street race anymore.
They say it is.
Well, it's not anywhere like the culture, right? Are you
Right.
calling people out, Johnny, every week?
No.
Right, see?
Nope.
So back in the
I
day.
just watch Bluey and get kid snacks now.
Then I wanted a Hemi car to ride on the street. I wanted a Hemi car.
Yep.
So a guy in town here, in fact, just up the street here, about 3 blocks, was rebuilding cars. So I rode over to Chicago with him to the insurance pool and bought a 68 Charger that needed a rear clip and a top. And he put that all on for me. And in 1970, Chrysler came out with them wild colors. And this was Panther Pink, it was called.
Yikes. Panther Pink.
And I bowled a street Hemi in that, bone stock with headers and 4-speed, 456 gears and 11-inch slicks. And that was my street racer. About them contracts, I'll show you them funny car contracts we had. Pretty interesting.
Has this been a good life?
Oh yeah, you bet.
Would you do anything differently?
Not sell my 65 Dodge. That would be it. Yeah.
So why is drag racing something that still, after all these years, still lights your fire?
It's just fun. It's a rush, leaving the starting line. I mean, it's just something you like, Yeah.
All right. There it is.
They had a lot of good cars at Eddyville.
$3,250, the agreement between the raceway.
Lion,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they had them all, boy.
So how did you get all these?
Yeah, how did you get all these?
Track manager.
Okay.
Made them for me.
Well, I figure they're in pretty good hands. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like the Eddyville historian.
They're copies, is what they are. So.
That's another Perdome one.
Yeah. Bob
yeah,
Pickup,
3,000 then.
Mr. Norm.
1,500.
But here's the mind blower. Gap and Roush, Ford, 77, match racing, 1,400. Warren Johnson, $650.
Wow.
Ain't that something?
Ain't that something? Pretty sure he's not doing that for $650 anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah. Rather rare. There's storage up here. Got it? Yeah, got her. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see him hanging. That's sweet.
After you.
After me.
This is a good plug for your t-shirt on the back here. Oh my goodness me.
My favorite poster he made is this,
The Led Zeppelin.
because I love the way he's got the propellers rolling there like that, That John Fox, he's something else, what he is.
I think that one's probably going to be Wade's favorite poster.
Probably.
Farrah Fawcett. Before she was wacko. How about the World of Outlaws one next to it?
It's pretty sweet.
Is that the one you meant, John?
Yeah, sure.
That's the big three. It's the Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
Yeah, those weird, sprint cars that turn left.
yeah. I'm going to get out of your way.
And just, it's all the light that I'm trying to... Thank you, mate.
Pretty loud for town, ain't it?
Loud for town.
Yeah.